All right, what's up, everybody? I hope you can hear me. I'm going to try to make this really quick so I can put it on social media and not just YouTube. But basically, I'm going to go into what or why words matter. So we have the English translation you can see here, but the original was actually in Greek. And so this would be considered, sorry, let me take this off. There we go. So, and we know, so we can see here the English word we actually was not there in the Greek. We added that so it would help us understand. So by going to the Greek, it gives us a better definition on what sense of the word was supposed to be used. And we completely see that. Sorry, there we go. Right here. So this is logos or logos, however you want to pronounce it. It's a Bible study software, and it's amazing because it has this Greek sense lexicon. And what this means basically is it's going to give me all the different senses and definitions within Scripture of what this word means. And so a Bible sense lexicon is a specialized lexicon used in biblical studies that categorizes words based on their semantic sense rather than just their lexical meaning or their just base definition. It actually helps to clarify the intended meaning of a word in any given biblical context by distinguishing between different senses of a word and what meanings it can have. In English, it's also similar. An example would be like the Greek word cosmos. It can mean the physical world, it can mean humanity, or it can mean a worldly system. Um, we see it the same way in English with the word bank. So if I just had the word bank, well, I can't just give it a general definition. I have to look at how it's used in the context of everything else around it. So an example would be I need to go to the bank to deposit my check. Well, because of the words before and after the word bank, I know that it's intending to mean a financial institution. Well, another sense is it could mean land alongside a river. That is a bank. So if it said we had a picnic on the riverbank, I know what that means. Another one is to tilt or to lean. For example, the airplane banked sharply to the left. So we can see that a Bible sense lexicon is very important to understand the proper meaning of the text. And so I'm going to look at this one here because this is what I'm commonly seeing that's misunderstood. And we're in Romans 8:28. And it states, "And we know that for those who love God," so in context he's speaking of those who love God, "that all things work together for their good, for those who are called according to his purpose." This word here, called, if I want to see the proper meaning in the Greek, is this word, kletos. And so, what this means in its context is denoting someone whose participation or presence has been officially requested for something, especially a request to which refusal is not an option. This is like a king summonsing you. You don't get an opportunity to say no. You're called according to his purpose because those, so still speaking of those who love him, those whom he foreknew. So this is where the big issue is. This word right here. People would say, yeah, he knew who would choose him. He's omnipresent. He's omniscient. He can look into the future and he already knows who's going to choose him. That is not the context of this word. This is the Greek word prognostiko. Prognikosko. I'm going to pronounce that wrong. So if I click on that and I use a Greek Bible sense lexicon, it can mean several different things. But in this sense, lema just means definition. In this definition of the Greek word, it's only seen two times in Romans 8:29 And in Romans 11, too, God has not rejected his people whom he foreknew. So we can see in this sense that it's about personally knowing someone. It's not about what he foreknew, those whom he foreknew. It is a relationship personally. So he's not learning what's going to happen. He called people according to his purpose because those whom he foreknew, or those who he befriended or became acquainted with in a familiar way ahead of time or before meeting them, implying an exclusivity of choice relative to those not befriended. So, who befriended who? Those whom he befriended, he also predestined to become conformed to the image of his son, so that he would be the firstborn among many brothers. And those whom he predestined, he called. And those whom he called, he justified. And those whom he justified, he glorified. That is the entire salvation process, and our will is not seen there whatsoever. This word predestined, in the biblical sense of the word in the original Greek, is this word, prorizo. Okay, so this could mean also to foreordain, to determine something ahead of time or before its occurrence. So he befriended someone ahead of time to be conformed to the image of his son. We can see right there that he did every bit of it. So now I can go to Romans 9, God's chosen people. This isn't something that I'm just making up off the top of my head. Right here. For this is the word of the promise. At this time I will come, and Sarah shall have a son. And not only this, but there was Rebekah also, when she had conceived twins by one man, our father Isaac. For though the twins, listen, were not yet born and had done anything good or bad, so that the purpose of God according to his choice would stand, not because of works, but because of him who calls. This word here is also going to be go right back to that same word. It's a summons. It's an authoritative summons, a demand for the presence of. It was said to her, the older shall serve the younger, not might, not maybe, shall serve the younger. Just as it is written, Jacob I loved, but Esau I hated, before Esau was ever born or did anything good or bad. What shall we say then? Is there unrighteousness with God? May it never be. For he says to Moses, I will have mercy on whom I have mercy, and I will have compassion on whom I have compassion. So the context is he's talking about mercy or salvation. So then, it, this is the key. What is the it? He's talking about mercy. So then, mercy does not depend on the one who wills or the one who runs, but on God who has mercy. For the scripture says to Pharaoh, for this very purpose I raised you up, in order to demonstrate my power in you, and in order that my name might be proclaimed throughout the whole earth. So then, he has mercy on whom he desires, and he hardens whom he desires. You will say to me then, why does he still find fault? Who can resist his will? On the contrary, who are you, O man, who answers back to God? Will the thing molded say to the molder, why did you make me like this? Or does not the potter have authority over the clay to make from the same lump one vessel for honorable use and another for dishonorable use? What if God, wanting to demonstrate his wrath and to make known his power, endured with much patience vessels of wrath, having been prepared for destruction, and in order that he might make known the riches of his glory upon vessels of mercy, which he prepared beforehand for glory. And people will say, well, yeah, that's between the Jews. Even us, whom he also called, not from among the Jews only, but also from among the Gentiles. That's where you get the world. It doesn't mean every single individual person. It just means that he chose those from the Jews and also from the Gentiles. I love you guys. Pray into this. The biblical sense matters. To foreknow does not mean that he knew who would choose him. It literally means those who he befriended beforehand, those who love God, because those whom he foreknew, he also predestined to be conformed to the image of his Son. Love you guys.